Hello. In today's programme, Barclays puts up its overdraft charges for more than 1.5 million customers. Typically, costs for them will double, but some will pay less. We delve into the small print. Ben.
Paul, Barclays are following the likes of Santander and Halifax in scrapping charging interest and replacing it with a daily fee. They say they've done this because their customers have told them that it's currently too hard to calculate the cost of borrowing, adding they want to improve transparency and customer control. But as a result, every customer who uses an agreed overdraft and sticks within the limits will pay more for the privilege of doing so.
So how much will these fees be?
Well, Barclays have tiered these new charges, so anyone with an overdraft of up to £1,000 will pay 75p per day. If the limit is more than £1,000 but less than £2,000, it's £1.50 a day. And for those more than £2,000 overdrawn, it's £3 a day. And that means it costs the same to borrow £20 as it does to borrow £1,000, which is slightly odd. So let's look at a specific example. Currently, a Barclays customer who is permanently overdrawn by an average of £1,200 for the whole month will pay around £13 interest each month. When the daily fee kicks in, they'll pay £46.50 instead. And over the course of a year, that's an additional £400. Now, Moneybox listener Ivor, that's not his real name, has a small overdraft with Barclays, and he wasn't too pleased when he received the letter informing him of the change in the way he was going to be charged for using it.
I have a £300 overdraft which I use regularly until my pension comes in. But at the moment, the top £300 will cost me about £8 a month. I have worked out the new overdraft charges when they start on the 16th of June, and they're tremendously expensive. And if I happen to go into, say, £20 overdraft, it will cost me £22.50. Currently, it costs me £1.50, something like this.
Well, that was Moneybox listener Ivor expressing his concerns. But Ben, Barclays argues that most people aren't overdrawn for the whole month. They dip into and out of it for overdraft for just a few days.
And that's a fair point. But even if you are a more typical customer, and for example, if you were to go £500 overdrawn for 10 days, it will currently cost you £2.44 in charges, but from the 16th of June that would cost £7.50, and that's 3 times as much. And if you do that every month, that's £60 a year more.
Yes.
And we had a tweet. Joe H tweeted us about these charges saying, "Barclays tell me they've been simplified. Is that a euphemism for doubled?"
We'd rely on Twitter for remarks like that, can't you? I've had a number, though. I must say, Alice tweeted me this morning. Frightening prospect for me, she says, overdrawn by £1,000 or so long term. So she is a bit like your earlier example, Ben, of £1,200 permanently overdrawn. She'll definitely pay more. And Ben, you mentioned Santander and Halifax charge daily fees, different from Barclays, of course. What about other banks?
Well, if we look at Lloyds, HSBC, TSB, NatWest and Nationwide, they're still charging an interest rate, but some of them also charge a small monthly fee just for having an overdraft arrangement. For example, if you go into the overdraft, Lloyds will charge £6 a month.
And Barclays told me that of the £5.5 million customers who used an overdraft last year, only 30% will pay more under these arrangements. On average, they did say it would be about double. But 70% will pay the same or less. Who's going to pay less?
Well, oddly, Paul, the ones who are going to pay less are the ones who break the rules, if you like. They accidentally go overdrawn without an agreement, or they have an agreed overdraft but spend more than that limit. They will pay less if they have several bounce payments on the same day, and some of their unauthorised borrowing becomes part of the new system of daily fees. So in short, the well-behaved will pay more, but those who can't or won't stick to the agreement will pay less or no more.
Thanks, Ben. Well, I've now to Brighton to talk to Kate Briscoe of Legal Beagles. Kate Briscoe, Barclays says it's done this partly due to customer feedback. Do you think customers are going to welcome these changes?
Not entirely sure they're going to welcome them. I mean, obviously it's a bit early to see how this is going to affect people overall, but my primary concern and what we're going to see on the website is the fact that this is going to affect the more vulnerable 15% of customers who incur charges and live in their overdrafts.
Yes, like some of the tweets I've been having. Of course, Barclays says that they will text people, contact them, and customers will change their behaviour to reduce their costs. That's okay if you can change your behaviour, isn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult. I mean, there's so many people, 8.8 million, stuck in a spiral of debt in the UK at the moment. The recession isn't over for a lot of people, and they don't have a choice to simply either reduce their overdraft or even move to a new bank that isn't charging the same structure, because often their credit file's been damaged.
Yes, and that's another good point. Many people can't change, of course, but even if you can, I mean, we heard the briefest of summaries from Ben there, which he did very clearly, but it's still confusing, isn't it, about all the different choices, and it depends on your exact pattern of behaviour which bank will be best for you on an overdraft.
Yes, and it is pretty fractional. I mean, overall, the banks do act as a pack, and although the OFT formally have tried to improve competition between accounts and to get customers moving, it was an abject failure, and people struggle to move bank accounts for a variety of reasons. And therefore, I think Barclays know that the people who will suffer with these new charges are probably going to be stuck with it.
Yes, and of course the Financial Conduct Authority said this week that customers didn't understand overdraft charges and found it very hard to know what they were going to pay, and often didn't even use that when they moved banks. When we looked at the detail of this, for some of the very small amounts, like borrowing £100 over even 2 weeks of a month, the APR, if you work it out, the sort of standard way of working out interest rates on loans is, my calculation, was over 1,200%. Now, we're in payday loan territory there, aren't we?
Yeah, that's the worrying thing. And it's a sad thing that the banks haven't kind of looked at the circumstances of all the negative headlines over the last few years, realised the competing market that's developing with payday loans, and actually attacked it in an ethical way. But really what they've done by this movement into fees that will actually result in a lot of people paying more is give the payday loan companies more access to the market.
Well, yes, and of course I don't think anyone would recommend a payday lender over a bank, even with these higher charges. And what do you know from your work about how people actually use an overdraft? I mean, one example, somebody tweeted me today to say he's paid every 4 weeks, but his bills come every month, which means that there are times when his bill comes before his pay.
Yes, it's a very common problem. I mean, one comment I would make on the new fees that Barclays have kept hold of, which is, the fee for bouncing something, is that please do move your direct debits and standing orders to a single day or two in the month, so that if you do have a dreadful experience and they all bounce, you'll only get the capped £8 fee in one day. If you've got your direct debit spread over the whole month, it could be catastrophic.
Yes, because of course that's a big change Barclays is making, that they used to charge you up to £40 a day if you had 5 bounced on a day, but if you have 5 bounced on a day now, it will only be £8. So
yes, we do welcome that change at least.
You can play it like that. And in summary, if people are listening to this, they're worried, they can't move bank accounts, just very briefly, what should people do?
Well, I mean, we've often been trying to promote the use of credit unions. We've also been trying to promote people to gradually reduce their overdraft spending. I mean, we hope, obviously, that people entering into problems as a result of this new charging structure aren't punished too harshly by Barclays. But people are going to have to enter into a programme of long-term gradual reduction of overdrafts.
Kate Briscoe of Legal Beagles, thanks.